So I'm curious to hear from you, and feel free to drop in the chat. Do you engage in any type of social listening? Whether it's families having conversations on your Facebook page, having conversations in a community moms group. I live in the DC area. There is a pesky little site that all of us love to hate, which is called DC Urban Moms, which around application and acceptance time, you can post anonymously whatever you want. You can use whatever expletives. You can be as offensive as you want, and nobody has any idea. So there have been families that haven't chosen schools because of what is said on DC Urban Moms. So tell me, how are you getting information from families? Or what types of social listening are you engaging in? And if you're not, could be something great to take on over the summer. Even on private school review sites, on niche, on privateschoolreview.com, on ask some of your ambassadors. What is the word on the street? It could be, yes, social media community pages for sure. Niche is huge for your community. If you don't regularly audit some of these sites, some of these conversations, a lot of them are around value. A lot of them families are asking, there was a recent conversation in the Bethesda Potomac Rockville Moms Facebook group, which I'm a part of. I am looking at these 4 schools, where should I go? Families are literally putting some of these decisions and letting complete strangers influence them. They might also be asking, is private school worth it? Is Montgomery County Public Schools or Fairfax County Public Schools or DC District of Columbia Public Schools enough? Will it be sufficient so I can send my child to college wherever they want? Yes, Laurie's saying there are some parents who are sharing what is happening on some sites. Having those moles always keeping their eyes out, even conversations in your internal WhatsApp groups. These are all things to pay attention to, especially if families are, starting to pick on things like, oh, well, this 7th grade math teacher isn't great, and I question the science curriculum, and why is the, high school principal leaving again? All of these fold into this value conversation and what families need to be thinking about. And if we as schools do not control that narrative, the narrative will be controlled for us. Oh, interesting, Ray is saying new parents often seem to see the negative comments on social media. Yes, negative posters, people love to complain. They love to complain to strangers. God help us all. So of course, having those ambassadors, especially on social media, that can pop in and say, we've had this great experience. My daughter wasn't reading going into 1st grade, and 2 months into school in 1st grade, there she was at the top of her class or whatever it is. Heather's saying schools are reluctant to hear negative feedback, 155%. And this is an important sort of come to whatever, mindset that you have. These things need to be spoken about because they could be affecting who's looking at your school, who's applying for your school, who, thinks what about your school, who may or may not come back. I worked with a school in the Northeast. I'm not going to give any other identifiers besides that. And I spoke to some families who chose not to apply, and they said, we didn't apply because we need financial assistance, and the chief financial officer was so horrible. We heard so many bad things about her. She barely wanted to set up a meeting with us. So we just decided not to apply at all. And there you have it. And even their friends who I spoke to in a different conversation were like, we tried all of these things, and yet they still wouldn't come. The head of school offered to be in these conversations. That CFO is no longer there. End of story. So thank you so much for all of that input. But all of these things really fold into recruitment and retention of your school and how you are perceiving value.